Whether you're somebody who's looking to transition from a corporate job or from a job somewhere into your own business, or you're someone who already has an existing business and you're looking to make it into your dream business, you're looking to make it exactly the way that you want it to be based on your vision, then this conversation with Howard Sambol is going to be for you. We're going to be talking about everything from finding what this passion and this purpose and this divine light inside of you is. And we're also going to be diving into the side of things that you might not have heard about before. We're going to be talking about how astrology impacts the success of your business, how astrology impacts your life in general. We're going to be taking this conversation in several different directions, with the result being you taking away strategies and philosophies that will help you in your business as well as your life. And you know the fee for the show. The only thing we ask is, when you take away a piece of value, share this show with one person who needs it the most. We don't run ads. We don't have sponsors. We like to just give you the information you need and the content and the conversation that you clicked on the video to watch. So be sure to share this with one person when you take away a piece of value. So without further ado, let's talk to our expert today, Mr. Howard Sambol. And for those who don't know Howard has impacted thousands of people's lives, helping them to craft their dream business and make money doing what they love. With his cutting-edge life crafting program, he shows people how to unlock and unleash their unique genius to positively impact the world and experience true life fulfillment. On top of being an award-winning author of Craft Your Genius Life, a recovering mathematician and master astrologer, Howard will help you to bring all of the puzzle pieces together to achieve the fulfilling life and business that you desire. Howard, it's a pleasure to have you on the show, my friend.
I'm excited. This is great. I'm looking forward to it.
We've never talked about cool things like astrology and even the transition from working in a corporate job or working in a job that you might like it, but it's not your dream, right? It's not your passion, to transitioning to a business of your own. So how exactly do you help people when it comes to making that transition, and what does that look like?
Well, there's actually a lot of steps to the process, Brandon, as you can well imagine. It's not like some slam dunk or quick fix or like a Band-Aid sort of thing. No, there's a lot of steps involved, okay? Some of them are emotional, some of them are metaphysical or spiritual, some of them are super practical, financial, and some are strategic. Like you need a map, you need a plan, okay? Most importantly, you need to see the big picture. Most people don't know the big picture. They don't see all the steps involved. And so we help people, first of all, to step back and see the whole journey, the whole picture, all the steps, including the dimension of personal growth, of their own mastery, their own inner mastery with beliefs and emotional patterns and such. And then we also help them with things like short-term cash flow. A lot of people, when they're in transition, maybe they left a corporate job with a nice big salary and they're not making money, and we help them fill in that gap with making money in the short term. But we always are very proud to say, with no resumes and no job interviews. So we help people tap into what we call the free agent economy, and tap into their skills. Now, you've probably heard of stories where somebody is laid off from a corporate job and then rehired by the same company as a consultant and then paid more than what they made when they were working there. So that's a good example of the kind of magic, but the truth of the matter is people have so many skills and so many gifts and talents, but they're not necessarily found on their resume. They have to be more, go beyond those filters and those mechanisms, those limiting beliefs, to see what you really have inside. And we help people do that.
Wow, that's just a beautiful system that you offer to people who are making that transition, because I was fortunate enough to have a great paying job. It was in sales. It was 100% commission. And I was really able to work the hours that I wanted to work and work with my past customers. But I know there's people who are in they're working at least 40 hours, some 50, 60 hours. They have a set schedule of Monday through Friday from 9 to 6 or whatever it is. And then they are working on their business afterwards. They get home, they're tired. They're saying to themselves, what am I even working towards? Is this even worth it for me? Maybe I should just stay where it's easy. And I'm sure you hear those things all the time, right?
Every version that you could imagine, we've heard all of that, and especially people who are so overwhelmed and so emotionally stressed out that it makes it very difficult for them to think, in an orderly fashion, to be strategic. Okay, so we help people in that way to overcome to gain what I call emotional mastery, which is feel your feelings, but not have them run you, and not have them overwhelm you, and
Yeah.
and then be able to become masterful, so you can move forward in a very deliberate, intentional sort of way, and understanding all the factors, all the many different factors that come into play as you go along.
Yeah, and I know you have your life fulfilling roadmap, which for everyone listening, there's a link in the description, which literally it's a free gift that you're giving people who are listening to this broadcast, which is incredible, that walks them through step by step how they can make that transition from
It,
being in that current life that
it
you're in.
covers everything, and I'll tell you the honest truth, Brandon, that was created after many decades, actually, of doing the work and then reflecting on what am I doing, what am I doing, and what have I done, and then the roadmap was literally designed from my actual experience over all that time. And I tell stories, it's all stories about the people. It's very inspiring.
And as someone who appreciates a step-by-step way of looking at things, because I was never a mathematician like you, but I'm very in my mind like, okay, what's step one? What's step two? What's step three? And I love a good story. So something like that is something that I would personally use and have used to get from where I was to where I am. What do you recommend to people who are making that transition? What do you recommend as the place to start? Where do you begin with this individual?
Well, I would say first of all, off, like I said before, have the map, have the roadmap. That's critical, because if you don't see the big picture, then you're blinded. And one of my sayings in life crafting is, the chain is only as strong as the weakest link. And in most cases, people don't know the weak or broken links in their chain, and it's very sad because they simply try to work harder and more. But if they don't see the broken links, it's going to keep breaking, and usually in the same places. So by having the roadmap, the big picture, and our support in our team, that goes away. So now they have the picture, they know the parts, and we can guide them through them. Second thing is, make sure that you're financially stable and set. We kind of use the Maslow hierarchy of needs. So we want to make sure that their basic needs are covered and they're not stressed financially, because when you're stressed financially or worried, then you're not at your best, and you're not going to be creative. You're not going to be accessing what we call source energy, or your creative self. Okay, so we help you handle that short-term financial situation using your existing marketable skills. Okay, but not with the job. Now we show you how to access what we call the free agent economy, and be able to access, like freelance opportunities and consulting and projects where you can make good money, but it's kind of living life on your terms. Okay,
Yeah.
once that's done, then there are two other very important steps. One is to begin the journey of emotional mastery, to learn your inner world, to learn your belief patterns, your emotional patterns, your triggers, and learn a little bit about how the universe works. So things like the law of attraction, which to some people is very woo-woo, but
Not to this audience.
not in our system. So we give you literally kind of like an experiment where you can do your own personal experiment, and see that it really works minute to minute. My joke is the law of attraction never takes a vacation.
It's like gravity, right?
Yeah. So you learn some emotional mastery. You learn about the desire, power of commitment, and then comes the big step, which is life purpose. Is clarifying your passion and life purpose. Okay. And unfortunately, I have to tell you, Brandon, that many coaches out there and programs out there are unfortunately way too superficial in this area. They skim the surface. And what we do in the area of life purpose, we have a methodology where people, it's like peeling the onion down. It's a gentle, elegant, creative, extraordinary journey of discovering who you are at the center. Why did you come to this planet? Why are you here? And I will only say this, that once you get to that place of that clarity within yourself, deeply at your core, it is so moving, emotionally moving. It will bring tears to your eyes, and your life will never be the same again because you're guided by that inner knowing, by that inner knowing.
Where does that come from, Howard? The inner knowing.
Well, it's already there. It's not that you're not adding it in. It's like you're just peeling the onion down to be able to see it. It's already there. See, here's the thing. To explain this briefly, our entire society is all completely oriented toward the external. So it basically indoctrinates everyone into thinking that the answers to life lie outside of you. Um, and that is so survival based, it's so money materialistic and survival based that it's all programming people into this never ending pushing and pushing and striving to getting to some kind of event, which of course never arrives. There is no such event and there is no such place because the only thing that's real in life is now. The only thing that now is the only moment. Everything else is an illusion. So basically, it's kind of a re-education of people, getting them to move from this externally driven reality and focus back into themselves and be able to learn things like mindfulness practices, spiritual practices, et cetera, et cetera. And it's fun. I mean, we make everything fun, and it's exhilarating as you discover more of you. It's fun, it's creative, and it's exhilarating. Now, here's the thing: once people get their life purpose and their genius, uh, it's not woo woo. I want to really emphasize this is not like some kind of ephemeral weirdo thing. We help people get real concrete language to that because we live in a rational uh, language based world where we need to communicate with words to people so that they will get what we're saying. But imagine that you're deeply connected to your purpose and you speak from that knowing. What's the effect to people? I mean, they're going to go, oh my God, because they're going to feel the energy. They're going to feel that energy. They're going to feel that desire, that truthfulness. Okay. So that's the foundational place. And then if you combine that with the emotional mastery I said earlier, like, wow, the next piece and the last important piece is to translate this life purpose into an ideal business. And we have a formula that we use for that. And I can share the formula so there's no mystery here.
I would love to know it, but I have a question for you before you share the formula.
Okay.
Heidi asked a question in the comments, which I'm going to show here. She asked, Howard, how do you feel about some people being meant for more greatness than others? Is anyone ever called to live in poverty?
Okay, that's a fantastic question. I love it. And I would I would answer it this way. It depends what your definition of great is. I mean, because great in our ego-based world of fame and fortune might mean one thing, and yet a person might be called to do something great, which is very quiet behind the scenes, without fanfare, without big shining lights and stuff like that. But it's just as great. So it depends on your beliefs and your associations with great. Now, as far as poverty is concerned, you know, a person might have a spiritual path to really not have very much in the way of material assets because they need to experience that spiritually. And there are people, and could look at their birth chart and you can see that. But I would say, though, that anyone who has a genuine desire to have financial success, there is no reason or need to live in poverty or to have financial struggles. I hope that
Wow.
answers that.
That's a beautiful answer. Yeah, thanks for going into that. I
Thank you.
completely
You're
agree
very
with what you
welcome.
said.
So now you would like the formula, right?
This formula is how to take that purpose and turn this into a business, correct?
Exactly, exactly. And I'm going to tell you that this formula that I'm going to share with you is discussed on a lot of very high end programs, which I've invested in over the years. I put it into a simple format so people can get it easily, but it isn't. I mean, it's simple conceptually, but it's not something that people think about. And it works like this: you just basically ask yourself the question, how can I do what I truly love, what I absolutely truly love, and create value for others at the same time? How can I do what I truly love and create value for others at the same time? Because what is money? Money is simply value, it's the exchange of value. So if you produce an extraordinary value, then the chances are pretty good that you're going to get paid well for that. Okay. Years ago, I don't know how true this is, but I heard that Tony Robbins charged $100,000 a day to work with a company. That was many years ago. So I don't know if it's true today. And it was fascinating because some people thought, well, how ridiculous, who had, the nerve to charge that much money? But when you went to the companies where he worked and you interviewed the senior executives, their answer was, "Oh my God, this is the bargain of the century. We get to have Tony for a whole day for a measly $100,000, and look at the impact he has in that one day and the ripple effects that occur over years and years, over decades, hundreds of millions, right? So again, it's all perspective, who's looking, what are their beliefs, what are their perceptions, etc. So if you believe that you have value that you can offer, and intrinsically you do, but you have to know what it is, then you can charge a good amount for it. Now, so once you've answered the question of how can I create value, the next question is, for whom, for whom can you create the greatest value?
Mm.
And that, of course, immediately identifies the market niche or the target audience that you are best suited to address with your passion and your genius. Boom. I mean, not rocket science. This is not complicated, right? It's putting A and B and C together in a simple, direct way. Okay. And then the last piece of this, I'm just giving your audience everything. The
Please.
last piece of this is called the leverage business model. And the leverage business model is the antithesis of the massage therapist who charges $50 or $60 for a massage and tries to fill their calendar up with as many appointments as they can so they make enough money to pay their bills, which is, of course, a losing battle. I mean, it's like trying to pedal your bicycle at 100 miles an hour and hoping you don't get burned out, which is not very smart. So, leveraged model means offer so much value to your target audience that you can charge a much higher price point for it. Therefore, you only need a small handful of clients each month in order to make really good money and have an even greater impact on your target population.
This is the exact business that I've gone into for myself, right? I
Yeah.
turned it from trading me going to a physical location and spending 7 to 8 hours in that location for a specific amount of hourly wage, like you mentioned with the massage therapist,
Yeah.
to, and by the way, massage therapists, you could do the same thing. You could teach other new massage therapists
Of
how
course.
you've done it for yourself and leverage your time to earn more money. It's just creating, like what you said, Howard, a valuable offer that will allow them to do that.
Right. And I will say this also, that what is it that creates the greatest value in our world? The thing that creates the greatest value in our world is solving a problem that people have been struggling with forever to solve and have been unable to solve. Now, it may be, and it often is the case, that the only reason that they're unable to solve the problem is again because of their beliefs or their the filter on their lens of reality. And you might say one thing in a 5 minute conversation and the problem could be solved. But if you can make $5,000 for the 5 minutes, why not? You're solving the problem for them, right? So the
Yes.
key is assembling all the gifts, all the talents, all the knowledge, all this and everything that you can to provide something of it like a package program that you can offer that is mind blowing and life changing in its impact. And so charging a few $1,000s for a program like that is totally reasonable, right? It's completely reasonable.
100%. And a question that we have in the comments as well, which goes along with what you talked about when it comes to building a business where you're doing what you love to do while also delivering value. The question is, how do you help people to discover what they truly and unconditionally love to do? Because even me recently, Howard, let me give you an example. I had COVID a couple weeks ago, and I was okay. I was obviously sick, but I was home and I was tired and fatigued, and it made me ask myself a lot of questions like, wow, like if I just had all this extra time all the time, what would I be doing with my time? What do I love to do? How do you help people discover what they truly love to do?
Okay, well, this is the what you're asking is the heart and soul of life crafting. So let me go a little further into this on piggyback on what I said earlier about life purpose. Remember, I was saying peeling the onion, right? Okay,
Yes.
so one of the things that blocks a great many people in knowing, in clarifying what they love to do is again, it's not a practice that people are used to looking inwardly. Again, they're taught to look externally outside themselves. And they usually are operating with a set of beliefs where they don't have permission to do certain things. So they don't have permission to know the truth, speak the truth, feel the truth, express the truth, etc. So beliefs have to change in the course of the discovery process in order for people literally to have permission and access to this deeper level information that lies within them, that's already in them, but they don't know it. They don't have access to it. It's kind of a little bit like 40 years ago, somebody created an encrypted file in your biocomputer, and they didn't give you the debugging tool for opening the file and debugging it. And it's 40 years later, and you're operating with this outdated, at this outdated program in your biocomputer. How do you? So what we do in LifeCrafting, first of all, is we open the encrypted file. We show you how to debug it, how to reprogram what's in there with the beliefs. We give you a new lens and a filter on reality. Then we guide you to dig deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into your inner world to know the truth. Everybody has a very deep level of truth. And it starts out really simply. It starts out with, write down all the things you love and write down all the things that you could do if you had unlimited time and money and there were no restrictions. Write those things down and do a journal and write those things down. And then and again, it's this is a process. It doesn't happen overnight, but the more you discover the truth, the more truth there is to discover. Because it's not a limiting, hit where you hit the end and then that's the end. This you're dealing with basically infinite spiritual beings who are having a physical experience. So we're not, that's which is contrary to what basically people are taught. Now, if I could just bring in astrology for a moment, which I think
Please.
will enhance this, is that your astrological birth chart, your natal astrological birth chart, reveals very deep and profound information at a soul level of who you are and allows you to get to know that. And of course, what's fun is that as I do the consultations with people with their birth chart, there's kind of a validation or a recognition. People will say things like, "Oh my God, I've always known that to be true, but I never told a single soul," or "I've always suspected this or felt this, but I didn't have the words to put to it to explain it or why it is." Archetypal information in a birth chart is extraordinary. I mean, it's extraordinary. Okay, it's a whole other language, but it's a blueprint, and so we can really unravel that, and it can help people start out to getting to this deepest truth, and then to touch on the other piece of this, which is your unique genius. Uh, there's a fundamental block at the subconscious level to people discovering their unique genius. Can you want to take a guess of what that is? Why that is there?
Is it programming from their early life?
Well, yes, it's programming, but there's a reason for the programming. There's a rationale to the programming. You want me to just say what it is?
Yeah, tell me what it is.
Because the job of your subconscious mind is to keep you safe. And the viewpoint of your subconscious mind is that all change is dangerous and unwise.
Wow.
Because change is scary or risky, and the status quo is what is perceived to be safe. In that context, discovering your unique genius is impossible and you will never get to it. So, what we do in life crafting is we have a trick. It's basically a trick which consists of a bypass around the gatekeeper. We work around the gatekeeper to discover what's there so that there's no longer this protective mechanism that's preventing you from getting there, right? It's kind of fun, and anyway, well, anyway, it's an exercise, it's a process, and then well, the truth of the matter is, if you discover your unique genius, what happens? You become unstoppable because you won't stop. You will do whatever, and your subconscious freaks out completely. But with emotional mastery, once again, you're good because you can deal with the uncomfortable feelings being out of your comfort zone. And you
When did you discover your unique genius?
Hmm?
When did you discover your unique
Oh,
genius?
well, that I think it more or less happened in stages. Well, I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you like a brief story. I think which really demonstrates it. Way back, and I'm going to date myself here. Way back in the 1970s, I went to several parties. I was a young guy and went to several parties, having fun, whatever. Okay, and sometimes I meet people at parties, typically women, and they would basically say to me that they didn't figure out what they want to be when they grow up. And so I just asked them these innocent questions that at the time were nothing more than just curiosity. There was nothing more than simple curiosity questions, right? And about 30 minutes later, 30 minutes later, all the color in their face changed and their whole energy field altered. They were like, they came alive and they said, "Howard, oh my God, Howard, how did you do that? What made you ask me that?" Okay. And I have no idea. I just was asking what seemed interesting or that I was curious about. Okay. So then this happened again at another party or another event. And then it happened the third time at another event. And I said, "Holy cow, I better figure out what the hell is going on here because there's something going on and I don't know what it is." And that led me to basically do what is commonly called a reverse engineering. Reverse engineering, going from the end result to how did I do that? And guess what? That led me to a big chunk of life crafting. That's when I saw that hidden underneath was this whole methodology that I didn't even know was there, but it revealed itself in that way. That's just one of many stories. Okay.
Yeah.
A great metaphor for your audience is this, and I love sharing this. You've got a pot of soup on the stove on slow simmer. and you are adding to the soup everything that is important to you in life, everything you love, everything you've done, all the things of value and meaning and purpose, and you're adding it to the soup and adding it in, and it's all blending beautifully and you're stirring it. Okay. Now we fast forward to dinner time, and your guests arrive and they're sitting down at the table and they're about to taste your soup that they've heard about. You serve the soup and you look at their faces, and there's this completely astonished look on their faces, and they're speechless and they don't really know what to say. One of them mutters something indecipherable, right? And then another man just blurts out, "It's remarkable." And then a woman says, "But I don't understand this because it doesn't taste like anything you put in the soup." And in that moment, you have an epiphany
Wow.
where you discover that the whole is, in fact, greater than the sum of all the parts. You discover the principle of synergy, and you discover your genius and your magic in your life. And that is life crafting. That is what life crafting is.
What I think you're giving everyone listening to is a lot of hope that if they haven't currently pinpointed exactly what they love to do, they haven't pinpointed their exact zone of genius, their own divine light, then like you said, you'll find it in stages, right? You'll add all these different ingredients, and then the soup that comes as a result will be something that tastes completely different than all the individual pieces that you put into it. And I absolutely love it, but you've also given us like your free giveaway, a roadmap of what we can do. So again, everyone listening, in the description or the comments, if you're watching the live stream, you can find a link to the life fulfilling roadmap that Howard kindly brought us through here. And Howard, you also have the Craft Your Genius Life, which is a free copy of your book that you're offering people. Does this go more into what we're talking about here with life purpose and the divine light and all
Is
those
it,
things?
it goes deeper into consciousness, into the mechanisms or practices of spiritual practices and consciousness. It goes more into like purpose, more into astrology, where we have a whole chapter that explains actually one of the some of the important historical things with astrology, and really what it is that it's basically a cosmic clock, uh, which is another good metaphor. And it's also a time machine. We don't have a whole lot of time today to get into the time machine aspect of astrology, but that's another really, super juicy. And then it gives a lot of personal growth methods and techniques. And finally, it ends with a chapter on relationships and communication, where people can discover how, by just learning three or four skills that are not taught in school and not generally available, but just learning three or four skills, they can make any relationship extraordinary, no
Wow.
matter what form it takes.
Well, that's a beautiful gift to give to people. And for everyone listening, you can find the link you literally type in your email, enter in the information required, and you'll get the copy of Howard's book, Craft Your Genius Life. And you can also grab the Life Fulfilling Roadmap as well, which is there, which guides you in more detail through all the different things that we talked about. Because, Howard, you gave us a lot of information. And
Yeah.
really, guys, what it's going to come down to is you executing on that and going to that link and really diving deep into your own growth, because you can make that transition from where you are to where it is you want to be. It's just going to require, like you just said, Howard, some different skills, some different beliefs, and some different ways
Uh,
of looking at things.
Let me just highlight one other thing here, that is the support system that you have in your life is critical. And unfortunately, when you say to the average person you need a good support system, they kind of think of family and friends that are kind of like cheerleaders, cheering you on. But in truth, an effective support system involves a lot more than that. And this is another area where we delve very deeply in life crafting into what is an effective support system and why all the parts that are there are important and necessary. Because once again, it's the chain that's only as strong as the weakest link. And when there's something missing in your support system, then the chain breaks. So we're kind of looking at it from a sort of engineering, vantage point, but also holistic, spiritual, and systemic, kind of all at the same time, basically.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say is your mission at this stage in your life, Howard? What are you looking to accomplish during this next chapter of your own life?
Well, my goal at this stage is to grow life crafting bigger, but particularly in regards to having a team. And my team is good now, but I would like to grow the team, and I would like to get it to a point where it's self-sustaining, that the team is sort of the dream team idea that makes it self-sustaining. And our cryptocurrency course, which we're now building in a big way, to bring that in, and we already are kind of doing that, so that people can become financially free in a year or two while they're doing all these other things. And so it's obvious how that dovetails together, because you can do that, well, then you're just free to live life on your terms and do what you came here to do.
I love that. And for everyone who's curious to dive deeper into the cryptocurrency and the financial freedom aspect of things, Howard's website is linked in the description of the comments as well, so you can check that out as well.
Just send me an email, howard@lifecraftingprogram.com, and I'd be happy to direct you to where you can learn more about our course.
Very cool. And that will also be in the description for you guys, so you don't have to rewind and grab it that way. Howard, thank you for going into all these different incredible strategies and processes, and you were very generous in what you gave away to us, and I appreciate you and your time waking up very early in sunny California. So thank you very much.
Well, this has been a lot of fun, Brandon. I enjoyed it immensely, and I'm excited to your audience to get this information, and looking forward to connect with them.
Right back at you, my friend. Thank you very much. If you're making that transition, or you want to make that transition from the job to your business, to discover what you truly love, to discover what truly fills you up, gives you that light, and allows you to add value to other people, then rewind this conversation, listen to it again, take detailed notes. If you're watching and not just listening, I'm literally holding up my notebook where all the notes I've been taking throughout this conversation. I'm a big note taker, and it's benefited me heavily in life, and I suggest it to you as well. And for those looking to go deeper into these concepts, whether it's the life fulfilling roadmap, click the link in the description or the comments and go grab your free copy of that. It goes deeper into all these principles. And for those looking to really be more in tune of what it is they love and what their purpose is and what they can give to other people in order to add value and create a prosperous and financially successful business, you need to grab Craft Your Genius Life, which is Howard's free book. Grab them both so you can go through and go deeper into each of these different processes. I hope you took a ton out of this conversation. And if you took even one piece of value away, all I ask is please share this show with just one person who could use it the most. Share it on your Facebook, your Instagram, your YouTube, whatever platform. Do a TikTok dance to it, whatever you want to do. That's how we've been able to grow, because of you, because you are part of the team. And I'm grateful to you for that. Thank you so much for watching the broadcast. And until we talk again next time, continue to be better.